Shiba. The name? PIBA INU. Today, we are doing a completely neutral dive into its official white paper. We're just going to break down what the project says about itself and figure out what this whole red panda thing is all about. Okay, let's get into it. Right off the bat, the white paper basically asks a question that's on everyone's mind. In a world totally flooded with meme tokens, you have to wonder, right? Is this just another one that's going to pop up and disappear, or is there actually something more going on here? So before we can even talk about what PIBA INU wants to be, we have to look at what they think is broken. The white paper actually starts by laying out its analysis of the current meme coin market, all the things it sees as fundamental flaws. And here are those pitfalls, laid out super clearly. According to the source, a ton of these projects just fizzle out. Why? Well, they have no real-world use case beyond the hype. Their tokenomics can be a total mess, the hype they ride on doesn't last, and they're often playgrounds for pump-and-dump schemes that just burn investors. This is the exact territory PIBA INU says it's here to fix. Okay, so that's the problem. What's the solution? How does this red panda plan to tackle all those challenges? The next section of the white paper does just that. It positions the project as the direct answer to everything we just saw. I actually really like how they laid this out. It's a super clear one-to-one comparison. For every problem, they propose a pillar of their project as the solution. So for lack of utility, they counter with a plan for NFTs and DeFi. For security risks, they talk about audits and locking their funds. Instead of centralized hype, they're promising community power. And to fight that short-term focus, they're proposing a long-term strategy for growth. Of course, none of this matters without solid tokenomics, right? I mean, that's the economic engine that drives the whole thing. Any crypto project really lives or dies by this stuff. So let's take a look at how PIBA INU plans to handle its absolutely massive token supply. And whoa, massive is the right word. We're talking about 1 quadrillion tokens. That is a 1 followed by 15 zeros. It's a staggering number for sure. So the really important question isn't just how many tokens there are, but where are they all going to go? And this chart breaks it all down for us. According to their white paper, a full half, 50% of all tokens go into the community pool. That's for things like staking rewards and airdrops. 25% is set aside for the liquidity pool, which helps keep trading stable. 15% is for marketing and development, and that last 10% chunk is for the team and any strategic partners. So you might be wondering, what's to stop the team from just dumping their tokens early? Well, the white paper points to this vesting schedule. For the first 6 months, that's the cliff. No team tokens can be sold at all. After that, they're released slowly, piece by piece, over the next 18 months. It's a pretty standard way to show the community that the team is in it for the long haul. All right, we've seen the tokenomics. Now let's look at the plan. What's the grand vision here? The white paper lays out its ambitions for the future in this official roadmap, which is meant to chart their path from day one all the way to what they're calling mass adoption. The whole plan is broken down into 4 big phases. Phase 1 is all about the launch, getting the foundation right with an audit and a fair launch. Then phase 2 is a big marketing push, trying to hit 10,000 holders. After that, phase 3 is about building out the actual ecosystem with NFTs, staking, and the DAO. And finally, phase 4, which they literally called To the Moon, is where they aim for major exchange listings and a play-to-earn game with a goal of over 100,000 holders. And this quote right here, pulled straight from the document, this is basically their entire mission statement in a nutshell. It's a clear declaration that their goal is to build real, tangible things, to create what they call practical use cases. So, what are they? The white paper details 4 main utilities they plan on building. First up, an NFT marketplace with 10,000 unique red panda NFTs. Second, a staking platform, so holders can earn passive income just for holding the token. Third, a play-to-earn game. And fourth, they want to integrate with payment processors so you can actually use the token in the real world. The idea is that each of these creates more demand for the token itself. Okay, now we're getting to a really critical part of any white paper. This is the section that covers governance, all the security promises, and of course, the all-important fine print and legal disclaimers. This is where the big dreams meet the cold, hard reality of the market. So the big promise here is community control through something called a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. And here's how it's supposed to work. 1 token, 1 vote. Holders can supposedly decide on huge things, like how funds are used or where the project goes next. But you gotta look at the fine print. To even submit a proposal, you need to hold 10 billion tokens. And for a vote to even count, 5% of the entire token supply has to participate, which is a pretty high bar. Now, this slide is probably one of the most important ones to really let sink in. It puts two very different sets of statements from the same document right next to each other. On the left, you've got all the security promises, locked liquidity, renounced ownership, a completed audit, and even that famous crypto meme, your investment is SAFU. On the right, though, you have the official legal disclaimers, that this is a high-risk investment with no guarantees, that it is not financial advice, and that you could in fact lose all of your investment. This right here is a really important legal point they make. The white paper is super explicit. It defines the token as a utility token. So why does that matter? Well, they're essentially saying, hey, this isn't an investment contract. It's something you're meant to use within our system. From a regulatory perspective, that's a huge, huge distinction to make. So as we get to the end of the document, this is really their closing argument. It's the final pitch. They're positioning PIBA INU not as just another meme coin, but as the next evolution of the entire space, one they claim is built on real utility and community power. And that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? After walking through the white paper, the plan, the numbers, the promises, and the warnings, you now have the information they've put out there. The document certainly lays out a very detailed plan, but in the end, the question remains, is this a genuine evolution, or is it just a very well-written ambition?